Whether from superhero fatigue, too many mediocre productions, or spreading themselves too thin, many people have found that Marvel has been lacking in the past couple of years. I may disagree with this sentiment, but there is still a clear fact that audiences have proven with box office numbers. However, I think the negativity Marvel has found themselves in is only because of two reasons, which I'll get to. But before that, I want to talk about the early 2010s. The Infinity Saga, Phases 1, 2, and 3 of Marvel's master plan to create a dreadnought of a franchise was not just a success, but it made their superheroes household names. A lot of people forget that Iron Man was thought to be a robot before his movie in 2008. Marvel had to shape these characters, molding them for the big screen, and betting almost everything they had on it. There's an amazing video that I'll link below that talks about just how much Marvel was struggling, but I'll mention that Phase 1, introducing the Avengers, was Marvel's last-ditch attempt to get out of financial ruin, and thank goodness it worked. Pumping out hit after hit, Marvel was raking it in, completely on top of the world. Except, that's not true. Everyone likes to put on their rose-tinted glasses when remembering 2010's Marvel years, but it wasn't always amazing. Movies were often making their money back, but they weren't all critical hits. Some were bad, some were boring, and some were unnecessary. Some of these movies had no connection to the Infinity Saga at all, and some were only connected by a tenuous link via an Infinity Stone. Circumstances affected each production, and it was overall very good, especially when it mattered. But if we put on the same skeptical goggles we use nowadays, it's not all gold. The Infinity Saga wrapped up, and new multiversal stories with new teams was promised. TV shows like Loki, She-Hulk, Moon Knight, and Hawkeye were things that I never thought I would see in live action, and despite flaws, I loved every minute of them. Not Loki, that stuff is flawless. I'm putting Loki on the shelf that is absolved of any of this criticism. And we got movies that felt almost on the level of auteur cinema with Sam Raimi's Doctor Strange. And while I was still let down with its final act, I love Shang-Chi and its incredible stunt choreography. And how could I forget Werewolf by Night, the incredible black and white special presentation that, along with The Batman, has now become an annual Halloween season watch. By the way, why would you release that in color? Being in black and white is the point of it, right? But I'm getting off topic, because even after looking at all of these fantastic examples, it's hard to stay excited about Marvel. There are always exceptions. Nonetheless, too many box office bombs and critical duds have left audiences feeling like their investment in this franchise has been all for nothing. With Thor Love and Thunder, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, and the Marvels, I could discuss how with one little change they could be amazing, but I just have to accept how alright they are and move on. Because for every mediocre moment, there's a really fun one. Looking at them as if they were a random issue of a comic book, I enjoyed them enough not to put them down. Quantumania doesn't fit this well, but the other two felt like singular visions. Visions that I may not have agreed with. Thor 4, why did you have to be that way? You had so much going for you. But anyway, most of these movies were born from a genuine want to tell that story. And that's the real theme of the new phase of Marvel movies. Projects like WandaVision, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, Guardians 3, and Werewolf by Night are examples that fit this to a T. Sure, there's a vague link with the multiverse, but that's not the real topic of phases 4 and 5, possibly even 6. It's original ideas coming from unique and creative visions. Some haven't panned out as well as the studio had hoped, but that fact cannot be ignored. Original and unique ideas should always be explored, and if a genuine want to tell that story you're telling isn't there, then what are you even doing? But right now, in a new age of Marvel, let's add to the pantheon of heroes on the silver screen. And they've been doing that, but I'm constantly distracted by possible Secret Wars storylines. Are Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man really gonna be the stars of that movie? But I shouldn't even know anything about that. And that's the first reason why Marvel has seen so much negativity lately. They revealed their whole plan way too early. For the first 3 phases, no one knew their plan for sure, and they definitely didn't reveal the whole slate from day one. Of course, teasing Thanos at the end of the Avengers movie meant that they were eventually going to lead to the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, but that wasn't confirmed by Marvel until 2014. And they were very hush-hush about it, announcing it only as Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2. We shouldn't know about Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. That's Infinity War Endgame stuff. It should be a basic rule to never announce a project until the script is finished. I'm looking at you, Blade. But I'm talking about more than that. I'm talking about revealing your entire roadmap just as you're getting going for no other reason but to drum up excitement that will inevitably die down because it's too early. I know they didn't reveal every movie, but you get what I mean. Nobody's going to care if they don't know where it's going. In fact, I think they prefer it. Being forced to piece it together by reading the source material is fun and makes the audience feel like they're a part of this fandom. Reveal a movie when the public won't let you film without snapping a paparazzi set photo and leaking it online. But don't give away every movie that is coming out in the next 2 decades. Maybe reveal each phase when it comes. Make an event of it. And that leads me into the second reason why Marvel has garnered so much negativity. Team-ups. Marvel started by introducing people to heroes one by one, confirming from the very beginning that they would team up side by side and become the Avengers. And having to wait while still knowing for a fact that it would happen generated infinite hype. I get wanting to wait before we see the Avengers again, but we need to see the characters we've been introduced to interact with one another. For context, Ant-Man was introduced in 2015, and the very next year, Ant-Man appeared again alongside pretty much every other Avenger in Civil War. Sure, the Guardians were always off doing their own thing, but we still knew that they would eventually meet up, and when they did, my goodness, it was amazing. But that's when there's reason to separate teams or characters. Right now, there are countless street-level heroes that I desperately want to team up. And they don't even have to do that. A simple conversation or perhaps a deep one would do just fine. At this point, it's getting ridiculous that they haven't even run into each other. I'm begging Marvel to make some sort of team up before we get to the universe-shaking storylines that are Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. It could be a TV show like the rumored Young Avengers I've heard so much about, or it could be the next Captain America movie. Make that an Avengers movie in the same way Civil War was. So please, for the love of all that is good, don't reboot. Just team up your characters. And don't tell me what the story will be 10 years before it comes out. Kevin. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and enjoy a delicious sandwich.